into our stories. We have a number of stories today. I think we have 2 news stories, and then we'll jump into our main segment, which is all about Money in the Bank cash-ins. But we'll start out with the first story, and it's Matt Cardona saying that he's surprised that he hasn't returned to WWE yet. So he was released by WWE around the pandemic, and then he basically went on to carve his own path in the independent scene. And Cardona basically shed the Zack Ryder persona when he went to the Indies, and he became king of the Deathmatch, and then he became king of the Indies. He won championships in areas like GCW, AIW, and NWA, and he's been in other independent wrestling promotions, including. Has he done? He hasn't done freelance, has he? I don't think so.
I know he's on Chicago. We see him at Chicago style.
Yeah, so he's been in other Chicago indie promotions. But he's been making the rounds, and it sounds like he's been making pretty decent money. He's also made appearances in AEW, and he's worked for TNA, but he still hasn't come back to WWE, which in a recent story, and this is another Fightful Select story, he says is surprising. And he had an interview with Chris Van Fleet, and he basically, Cardona said, honestly, that he's surprised. And then he says, but obviously I'm missing something. I don't know what it is. Listen, people say to me all the time, especially since we just had WrestleMania, WrestleCon, thousands of people, probably every other fan, if not every fan, when are you coming back? And then he says, well, it's not up to me or at the WrestleMania hotel. Thanks, Chelsea, for letting me stay in a hotel room for free. Saved me some money. Great hotel, great steakhouse too. But so many people from the office or other wrestling, hey man, when are you coming back? It's like, I don't know. I've reached out many times. I shouldn't say many, a few times, every couple of months when something cool happens or I have something to say, hey, look what I'm doing. There's been no offer. Everything's very nice, professional, but there's no offer. And you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to keep working my ass off. And Cardona, basically, he was started his WWE career, I think it was with the Edgeheads, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2006.
Well, he might have been on ECW before that.
Yeah, I think he started in 06, but I think the Edgeheads weren't until 07, because I think Edge was doing that whole gimmick in 07. And then he remained with the company basically until his 2020 release. So he was in WWE for a long time.
Woo.
Woo, woo, you know it.
Woo.
So, yeah, I mean, Cardona has been. I liked Zack Cardona. He was in the mid card, and people went. I do remember when he was, with the whole woo woo, you know it, and he was getting creative because WWE weren't giving him much as a wrestler for content, and he became like the internet wrestling streaming champion. He did his own YouTube channel. He was trying to make an impact his own way because WWE wasn't giving him stuff, and they gave him a bit of a push, and he's had a couple of title reigns, but I don't think it's what he envisioned or what he wants. He's obviously wants the WWE championship and something bigger. And it's kind of similar now to where he went to carve his own path. He did this whole indie wrestling thing, but it still seems like he wants to come back to WWE, but for whatever reason, the E doesn't have anything for him, or they don't want him. I'm not sure what the reasoning is. So have you guys, okay, so you guys, I know David, I'm assuming you didn't see most of his Zack Ryder career when he started.
I seen like 2014 onward.
You did? Okay. So
Yeah.
what
I
did you
seen
make
early because I watched like ECW and like a little bit of that time of like Edgeheads, but
yeah. So what did you think of him as a character in WWE? Like personally.
I always thought he was like solid, like he was cool in video games.
Yeah.
Like Rough Rider's cool.
Yeah, it's a good finisher.
And like, yeah, I just took like by the time I started watching him, I kind of like understood the fact that like not everybody gets like the right showcase in WWE.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like sometimes it is like they give you the vehicle, but then it's up to you to do something with it. On the other hand, sometimes it is like they literally just give you, chicken shit, and you can't always
Right.
turn it into chicken salad, you know? And that's not necessarily
Mhm.
the fault of the wrestler. It's just how they package you, how they think you should look. And certain people, you know, left, came back because they weren't getting what WWE they weren't getting the stuff they needed from WWE. Like Cody Rhodes is a great example. He's like, all right, well, you're giving me a Stardust character. He basically felt empty inside at that point, left, did indie wrestling, created a wrestling company, came back. Now he's one of the biggest wrestlers on the planet. So it's not like it's unique to, or it's not like it hasn't been done before. But for whatever reason, WWE doesn't seem to. Um,
McIntyre did it too.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah, McIntyre
Yeah.
left, chosen one, babyface, clean shaven wrestler. Had a decent mid card title run with the IC belt. Three man band, not 4-man band, 3-man band.
Maybe.
Basically Job Squad, and then left. Same thing. Well, how are you guys impressed by his transformation from Zack Ryder to like this Indy God persona?
I like him in the Indies. I like especially like early on, like his first like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I definitely he's putting out good work. He still is. I just I don't know.
Chris,
I
what did you
feel
think of
I,
Zack
I
Ryder?
think it's a timing thing.
Yeah, I think it's a timing thing. It's also, I think, it's a capacity thing. And again, I think WWE can potentially be dangerously close to doing what I think AEW does, where you get like sign these wrestlers. And I feel like WWE sometimes might be now doing it politically, where it's like, look, if you go from AEW or whatever and then sign us, we can give you a great career. Look at Penta, look at Cody. Aleister Black, I don't know, not so much yet. Same thing with El Idolo. I don't know. There were some people that they're still kind of like kind of hanging around.
has
And maybe
Rusev been
not.
on TV?
Rusev has been on TV. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
another one.
beating people
Rusev.
up.
Yeah, so now he yeah, they're making him like this monster thing. So there are certain wrestlers that were on AEW that basically were stuck in catering, and now they're getting more spotlight time. But I think it might be a capacity issue. But Chris, what did you think of Zack Ryder when he was in WWE? And then if you have any thoughts on his current like Matt Cardona persona, and yeah, go from there.
Catchiest theme song ever.
El Radio.
Oh yeah. When that shit be hitting, I was like, yeah, radio. I
Yeah.
mean, he was definitely over, I think, especially towards the end. In WWE, I think he was getting pretty over because when it was like kind of closer to the end for him, I mean, that was pretty peak Vince, I guess, right? All kind of like on the verge of like what would be peak Vince in the late 2010s. And then when he
Mhm.
jumped on the indie train, I think he's done enough of it now where I think he would benefit for going to like a bigger promotion because he's been doing it for so long.
Right.
I feel like he can benefit for just being on either a TNA or WWE or shit, even AEW. But
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like he's probably burning out a little bit, maybe, because it sounds like those comments just make it sound like he's, you know, kind of wanting to go on to something a bit more steady or
Yeah.
regular.
When he says always ready, I always felt like that meant like always ready for WWE's phone call in a persona. Because it does feel like, you know, it felt like he was doing all this, like he wanted to reinvent himself and do something different, but I felt like it was almost like a portfolio to try and get back in WWE. And maybe that's just pure speculation. I could be completely wrong. Um, but just based on this recent story where he was interviewed that he was surprised that he never got a call from WWE, I felt like maybe there's something to that. So, so,
I like watching
so,
them get
what's that?
chased. I like watching them hunt for wrestling figures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm curious to see how
guilty
big his
pleasure.
wrestling figure is collection is by now. It's probably like a ball pit of wrestling figures that that'd probably hurt if you jump in it. But I feel like he's got like a U-Haul container full of
Makes
wrestling
me want to
figures.
do it.
So here's a question, and then I guess Andres, you can answer this. So Cardona admitted that he reaches out to WWE when something cool happens in his career. How important do you feel like it's for wrestlers to advocate for themselves in today's industry?
Oh, I think it's like super important. I mean, you know, you got to sell yourself out and be the best you can be, and you know, sometimes you got to knock on those doors or kick them open too if they come. With Matt Cardona, even as Zack Ryder, I was watching during that era. When I guess like Zack Ryder was at his like highest point. But me personally, I was not really too entirely sold on him as a character. His YouTube stuff was really funny though, I will say, because his channel was actually really good. Actually, I think he had like one of the biggest videos too at one point, or maybe for like a wrestling superstar at the time, it was like the #1 video or something like that. But I remember he would kind of make fun of WWE in a way in his video. So I don't know if maybe like that's kind of one reason why they let him go. I don't know either, but like because he would make fun of like the fact that he wasn't getting a push or he couldn't get over. Like he would make a video of like I remember he was like trying to climb a fence and he's like, I just can't get over. I just can't do it. Like, and it's like how much taller than him and stuff. You know, it was funny stuff. But when he transitioned to the indie scene, I mean, no, he was making a lot of noise for sure. I mean, he's doing a lot there. I know he was like the hardcore like God or something like that. I remember like he was just doing like all these crazy matches and stuff. And we were fortunate enough to actually see him too.
Yeah, that
So
was like during winter, wasn't it?
yeah, a
It
little
was
while
like
ago.
cold as hell. Well, we
It was
both
Pretty
really
cold.
good.
But I mean, him trying to get back in WWE, I mean, you know, like why not? Obviously, I mean, it's important to still keep those good relations and let them know you're still hungry, you're still willing to work and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
especially for him. I mean, he's still very capable of wrestling. He's always had good matches too. He's always been a good wrestler, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, he's like around the same age as Cody Rhodes. I feel like you know
Yeah,
I don't think it's an age thing because their entire upper like main event scene is guys in their 40s, you know. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's the issue. I do think it goes back to that capacity issue, just not knowing what to do with him. Um, and I don't know how he sells it. Like, does he say like, "Hey, I'm fine coming back to WWE. You can put me in the lower card, the mid card." He doesn't care. Or if he says, "I want to come back to WWE, but I want you to push me in, you know, the upper mid card level, you know, or even
yeah.
WWE Championship
I
level." Who
mean,
knows?
Fandango came back. You know, why can't Zack Ryder?
That's true. And again, I think we made this, well, not me, I didn't make the good point, but I think David Andres, you made the point about before the show, like there are plenty of people who leave and who are huge main eventers, Hall of Famers that left, had to reinvent themselves, bounced around certain promotions. I mean, Steve Austin did it, Triple H did it, Isaac Yankem did it. You know, like there were so many people who left, had bad gimmicks, they didn't know what to do with them. Then they came back. The Rock, same thing. Babyface, white meat babyface, die Rocky die. I mean, the whole thing. It's not unique to Zack Ryder, and it's a constant in wrestling, and that goes for Cora Jade and other wrestlers too who got let go.
Mhm.
Dakota Kai, that's another one. She got let go probably because she was getting injured too frequently for their liking, and probably because they didn't know what to do with her. Even though they just got 2 mid card belts, but that's another story. Um, but yeah, so why do you think? So I said it's a capacity issue, but why, Chris? Why do you think WWE hasn't brought him back, especially because of all this interest in him as being an indie god, and selling out shows purely based on his name in the indie scene?
I think it is honestly, like me personally, I think it is a capacity thing. I mean, I guess they could potentially put him on like an NXT. You know what I mean? Like make him really big on NXT, since they kind of treat it almost like an indie show, like with
Yeah,
the aura of it. But I think it comes down to capacity. You know.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way.
So, what do you guys think? If WWE never calls, what do you think is the next logical step for Matt Cardona? Should he try to go to AEW or TNA, or should he just maintain being an indie god or reinvent himself again?
He had
New
an AEW
Japan.
run, didn't
New Japan. Definitely some
What'd you
kind
say,
of
Chris?
a bigger promo. I think, like again, he's been doing
not
the
WWE.
Indie God thing for what, like a decade or something at least, more or less.
Some variation of it. I wouldn't say a decade
5
because he
years.
left in 2020, so 5 years.
Okay.
he? Wrestled in AEW though, didn't he? Wasn't he on there for a little bit?
He just
Ew,
shows up every once in a
yeah,
while.
it's like an appearance. Like, didn't he do an
Yeah.
Edge match with Edge or with
Yeah.
Pope? So like it's like one-off appearances, but it doesn't go
Yeah.
beyond that.
I mean, honestly, it just sounds like he only wants to go to one place. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think. Like me,
Yeah.
I think that's the goal for him. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to sign with AEW and TNA for like a contract. If he's like, oh no, if I stay here for 5 years, then I'll miss my opportunity to go to WWE. And I mean, Chelsea Green, his wife is there. Maybe he thought there might be some pull or something. I mean, not that he would need it because he was in the company for like 16 years before he
Yeah.
left.
It's been a while. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe he could go to, like you mentioned, New Japan or something like that. But I think again, it has to
Matt
do
Cardona
with,
in the G1.
yeah, Tokyo Dome. Or you know what? Put him. They acquired AAA. Put Matt Cardona in AAA, and he could technically be wrestling WWE wrestlers, even though it's a separate promotion. He'd be under the same umbrella because,
Just pull a TNA.
yeah, but exactly. I mean,
Move around
and
like Joe
and it would
Hendry.
be closer than TNA because TNA is still technically separate, but they have some.
Yeah.
It's not a handshake deal. Obviously, it's not like the Carnies in the '80s, but like
You never know.
there's maybe, but like there's definitely some kind of deal there. Like Joe Hendry for sure, when his contract is up, is going to go to WWE. There's no way he wouldn't be. That just does. Like they
Like
gave
Jordan Grace.
yeah, they gave him a freaking WrestleMania match against Randy Orton. Like you're telling me that isn't like their way to get him on WWE, the WWE roster?
Well, that would
I
be his
think it's a
best
matter
bet.
of when.
Yeah, that'd be his
Um,
best shot. Just go to TNA, honestly.
yeah, so maybe Zack Ryder. I mean, go to AAA, and then that way you're technically in WWE. You're just on a separate company, which is a good segue into our next story.